All right, so recording has started. This is the September 5th, 2023 Rook community meeting. In the Zoom chat right now, I will drop a link to the agenda doc if folks don't already have access to it. And everyone is welcome to add suggestions for the agenda there. So we'll get started with milestone checkup stuff. Actually, no, before that, I think what I actually should start with here is I owe an apology to this group, I believe, where last community meeting I was on PTO and I had somebody from my team to come and get the get somebody assigned to host so they could get the recording started and all that. But the major step that I failed to do this time, and I think it's the only time I failed to do so, was I forgot to give them alternate host permissions. So they were here and just as unhelpful as anybody else could have been in that situation. So I messed that up, and that is my apology for that transgression. So then let's Travis and I chatted a little bit as well about there is a possibility of moving to some other meeting software that maybe the Ceph team is using. Was it Travis Jitten? Was that what it was?
Well,
Or
Jitsi, yeah, and
Jitsi?
I think I reported in the meeting last time, but you weren't here. So, yeah, I talked to Mike
And there was
Perez,
no recording.
and there's no recording. Yeah, Mike Perez indicated there's not really a way to record the Jitsi calls. So,
Oh,
yeah, so that's not very helpful.
okay.
Um,
Well, fair enough. Well, we can still consider other alternatives then. But it's definitely a lesson learned about making sure that people have alternative host permissions. Okay,
mhm.
cool. So let's take a look then at milestones. So it looks like we do have an upcoming 1.11.11. That is a lot of ones in a single release there. That's interesting. Let's take a look to see then at the board to see what's coming up in that release. Looks like
Yeah,
everything's in the done column.
I don't think there's anything on the board there to discuss per se, but I know there are a couple of fixes that have been backported to the 1.11 branch since our last 1.11 release. It wasn't urgent, but I felt like okay, we could do a release. It's been I think 6 or 8 weeks even by the time we get that next release out. So it's just a good time to get a patch release out in case people want to pick up those fixes. Um, yeah. So in the interest of, I mean, we do try to have patch releases out for the most two recent minor releases in some sort of cadence. So,
And Travis, would that coincide then with the 2 weeks from the last 1.12 patch release?
oh yes, I need to put that in there for so 1.12.4
Yeah.
would be on 9.14 as well.
All right, sweet. So then let's talk about that then. Actually, let's talk about the latest release overall then, which would be 1.12.3, and just talk about real quick what was in that, and then we'll talk about what's going to be coming up in 1.12.4.
Sure. Yeah, that first one's an interesting one to call out. The OBCs had an issue where if you created two with the same bucket but a different OBC, when you deleted one, it would effectively delete the other one as well, or the underlying bucket. So that's fixed now um, from Tiffin. And then otherwise, I mean, what's worth mentioning here? We added Kubernetes 1.28 to the test suite. Golang 1.21 support. Um, and yeah, just a number of other fixes there. Support the Helm chart install for OpenShift clusters. A little more streamlined there, that last item. Yep. So yeah, in the past you just had to add the security context constraints separate from the Helm chart.
All right, sounds good then. Then let's go ahead and look at the 1.12 board to see what may be upcoming for 1.12.4. About, I don't know, about a little bit more than a week away.
Mm-hmm. And you have high aspirations for these boards, Jared, because they keep falling between the cracks as far as getting them updated. Um, yeah, with the holiday yesterday, I'm still catching up for sure today. But what is that one in progress? Kazi driver configuration not changed. Till an operator restart. Yeah, I don't think there's anything really urgent there to discuss, or in the to-do column, on my mind at least. So the Ceph exporter, this new component, has had a couple of issues. I'm talking to Yvonne about issues with that. I don't know if it's represented in the board here. Yeah, I don't think so. I need to get that on the board.
So and there isn't, Travis, on your mind like an explicit issue that is driving would be driving that release. It's just, hey,
Just the
the progress
biweekly.
we've made since the last regularly scheduled one, and that's what we'll get out.
Exactly.
Cool. Okay, probably some of the same fixes that got backported to 1.11 as well.
Yes.
Cool. All right.
Yeah, the 1.11 backports are really sparse at this point. So mostly 1.12 is where we focus the backports. That's all.
Okay.
But, okay.
And then let's move on then to 1.13. Do we have a project board for that one too?
Oh, that's a good question. I thought we did, but it's just not linked here yet. I guess we need to create one.
Yeah, I don't see one there yet. So let's get, we'll get a
Okay.
1.13 board as well.
Yeah, for the next meeting. Action item.
All right.
And then by the next meeting, I feel like I'll have a better idea of a proposal for that timeline of 1.13 release. I don't think there's any need for doing it around KubeCon. The project video we made was already done a month ago, so they
It
didn't
didn't say
even
anything
want
about
the latest.
1.13, did it?
I don't think so. Yeah, I
As long
only
as it
had
didn't say.
I only had less than 60 seconds to talk, so I didn't bother saying anything about specific releases. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Excellent. So we don't have a video that's a video time bomb for November 6th. It's like, oh, we're so happy the 1.13 release is out.
Right. Yeah, no way to talk about last minute things.
All right, sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any important issues though top of mind that are like the focus areas? Maybe let's look at roadmap then while we're early in the milestone. Does that sound good?
Yeah, well, that roadmap doc has not been updated yet. I've been meaning to start
Oh,
on that as well. So that's not going to be helpful.
what's top of mind then
Um,
for themes that we want to be investing in for 1.13?
yeah, I'd say 1.13, and we're still the kubectl plugin. We're saying kubectl now instead of crew. Kubectl plugin is just an active area. There's disaster recovery is always an area where I'd like to get more improvements. There's Kazi stabilization, or because right now it's still declared experimental. Potentially we could declare that stable, but actually that's also pending Kazi itself getting out of alpha. Blaine, any update on Kazi's alpha state?
Um, we
Or was it beta? Maybe I'm forgetting.
yeah, we're Cozy's in V1 Alpha 1. I actually do I have this PR open that I can grab? This is actually a really good thing for me to have like put here, and I just have so many things. I opened up a PR to do a V1 Alpha 2 by adding bucket quotas to the design. I think
Mm.
one of the challenges that the like Cozy upstream, uh, I guess, effort is having is that there were a ton of interested parties leading up to V1 Alpha 1, and a lot of them dropped off afterwards. So it's mostly just us, Rook, and I guess Rook and Ceph, and the like one of the storage leaders, Xing Yang, that I mentioned before, and someone from Minio is leading the efforts. Um, and someone from Azure is pretty heavily involved as well. And someone else has started coming in as well, but I don't know if I know like where they're from, but really it's like 4 people, 5 people maybe. So I'm thinking probably a good approach from here is to just try very small iterative updates, like here with bucket quotas, just making a like small contained improvement, and then just trying to get feedback from Rook users Rook users are the one wanting bucket quotas, and moving from there.
Yeah. Cool. It's interesting how much the interest dropped off after Alpha 1.
Very, yeah, interesting because I don't know what else to call it. But yeah, I totally agree.
Okay.
And Blaine, is that more on the side of like users and adopters, or is it more on the side of like other storage engines or storage projects that would kind of be backing underlying storage for that the interface?
In what sense?
Oh,
Or I sense there's something I need to clarify, but I'm trying to figure out what exactly.
yeah, for sure. So with the object storage interface there, like I can see benefits for two sides, right? For the consumer side and the supplier side, right? So, like when we've seen sort of a drop off there, or once it got to alpha, or is that drop off on both sides of the equation there, users as well as storage providers?
Um, that's a really interesting question. So the I I honestly I don't know if I actually know the answer to that.
Mm,
The people who were involved were people who were also involved with um, the CSI, just like the container storage interface
yep.
design. So it's hard for me to gauge whether those people were interested from the perspective of users or providers, like kind of both. Like that's I guess kind of the state of the API spec. And uh, I suspect that maybe some of them were involved out of like the goodness of their heart and like just being asked to like help get this thing going. And now they're uh, moving on to the things they actually care about. That's my that's not something I know, but that's just sort of my kind of gut check on probably uh, why things are the way they are. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm pretty I'm pretty convinced that this is worth investing in because like having a portable object storage interface across Kubernetes clusters is something that's like just a glaring hole, um, and really makes uh, like hybrid cloud stuff much more manageable for end users. So I think once this is available, I think it will get a lot of traction. It's just a long time to get there.
Yep. Cool. Thanks for that insight, Blaine. Definitely appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. So that was in the context of investments for 1.13. Anything else to call out before we move to the community topic section?
Not that I can think of. Yeah, that's good.
All right. Let's
We
keep
need
on
to
moving on then.
we definitely need to get the roadmap updated with all those thoughts
Yep.
too. So
Yep. Sounds good.
I'll put that
And
action item. Yeah,
I just roll it into one.
sure.
Sure. All right. Shubham and Travis, update on CI stability.
Yeah, just to note, as of last week, we still had one test, our Multis integration test, that was failing consistently. But that magically got resolved itself. There must have been a GitHub infrastructure update that then worked with the Multis networking. So anyway, we only have intermittent issues now. I mean, still there are more intermittent issues than I would like, so we still need to keep an eye on them and work on them as much as possible. But yeah, just a note that I feel like we're in a better place than we were for I think since the end of July. That's good, at least.
Fantastic. That's definitely a positive statement then.
Yep.
All right. Gaurav, you wanted to mention Cube Day India coming up.
Yep, I just I was talking to Shubham earlier about it, and it's happening on 8th December, but the CFP ends on 17th of September. So we have just got almost um, about 12 days to submit it. So Travis, I was thinking maybe I'm gathering ideas. I have a couple ideas, but what do you think about a Rook panel there if we suggest Travis and everyone about I mean, just like we did at KubeCon Europe, right? So if we
Is
do a
that
similar kind of,
yeah? Is that only in person or is that virtual? I didn't look at it yet.
I think it's in person.
In person, okay. Yeah.
So
Well, yeah, I don't know. Whoever's there, if we have at least 2 people for a panel, then that sounds like a great idea to have a panel there. But will that be in Bangalore or where?
yeah, it's in Bangalore.
Okay.
Is this Gaurav, is this intended to be a link here? It looks like it's formatted as a link, but I don't see a link.
No, this is not a link. Apparently, yep. So just a couple ideas I was having, but mainly I was thinking if we could do a panel, and it's always great to have a panel, right, where we can get feedback from the storage community about various use cases and various ways that they're using Rook, and just talk about it, especially from the Indian community as well here. So
Sure.
I was thinking if we could do that, and maybe some other talks as well.
Maybe you want to start a conversation in the dev channel of Slack, the Rook Slack, and just ask who would be interested in that panel. Because I mean, none of us are no Rook maintainers like Subham and Parth or Santosh. None of them live in Bangalore either, so they'd have to travel.
Yeah.
But maybe there's a possibility there of traveling.
Yeah, even Rakshit is there, right? Who's contributing to CSI.
Yes.
So
actually.
I was thinking, so maybe we can have people all around, and yeah. Yeah, I'll just start a thread as well, and just share the ideas, and
great.
We'll try to submit it before 17th.
That's good.
So that's super exciting, Gaurav. Like that kind of makes me wonder too. What other Cube days are out there? How is there like a general page that shows all of them?
Yeah, I think you can check. You can just remove Cube Day India from there.
Okay.
And I think we can search for Cube Day.
What we got? Oh,
yep,
Singapore,
I think
too.
there's one in Singapore as well.
Cool.
Interesting.
As Bangalore is closest to us, I thought we could just try to be there.
I wonder if they're doing them in parts of the world that are that don't have KubeCon. So since they're in India and Singapore, it looks like, as opposed to Europe and North America, which have their own KubeCons.
Yeah, I was expecting to see one in South America too. That there's a big community down there for sure. Maybe that already happened or it's in the works. But yeah, these are great ideas though. If like in general, if we have folks that can be there, these are great venues for, continuing to do reach out and get connected with more adopters, more users, more community members. Like this is definitely an investment worthwhile if folks are available to be there. That is.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
I mean, that's a way where, I mean, when I was looking at the various topics, it was all across AI, ML, data storage, and services and everything. So, I mean, it was pretty interesting. But yeah, it'll be great to see what other things we see in the community and get the feedback.
Cool. Sounds awesome. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Rob.
Thanks.
Blaine, you're down there writing a novel on the Multis.
Yeah,
See the
well,
cider auto detection stuff. You want to catch us up on that?
yeah. I mean, I'm always writing a novel about Multis. But I wanted. I wish I wish I were kidding. Um, uh, yeah, I wanted to, I guess, bring this up. So I have a PR for improvements to Rook's like cider auto detection, and so specifically, this is fixing some issues reported by a couple of users around trying to use CNI plugin chaining, which is something that's allowed by Multis and allowed by the like SIG network, like the Kubernetes SIG network group, their like CNI specification. And yeah, in investigating these issues, it became clear to me that like really the underlying issue was that Rook was really strongly limiting users in what they could choose as a Multis like or CNI provider for their networks, and that doesn't really make sense. Like the point of Multis is that networks are incredibly complex, and sometimes you need special configurations to kind of wiggle things into your own network environment. And like our own support of that is like really should be as transparent and hands off as possible. I think it was probably not a great decision to try to auto detect the network like CIDR address ranges in the first place, because that has meant that now that's something that we should support for backwards compatibility, and that's just uh, not going to work in quite a few pretty like even still fairly standard configurations, I think. Like notably, we didn't actually support the DHCP provider before, which means if someone had a network where they had a DHCP server and had their own network monitoring that they wanted to use, it wouldn't work with Rook. So yeah, I've pivoted the auto detection to stop trying to look into um, non non-standardized specs in the like specifically what the IP address management, the IPAM spec is it's just a string. And instead of inspecting that arbitrary string that is different for every network provider and trying to predict how every CNI would handle CIDR address ranges, uh, then we just use a black box approach in the form that we used for the Mon Canary. So when we implemented the Mon Canary, I think this was Noah Watkins actually back in the day. We effectively realized like we don't know what the kube scheduler is going to do. We can kind of predict for simple scenarios, but for anything more complicated, we just don't know. It could be anything. So we just schedule a canary, see where it places it, and then we use that. And we do a similar thing here now with networking to make a best effort approach to auto detection. And then the thing that would have been easiest to do from the first place is this, like, actually makes it so Rook can support whatever multis configuration you want, is we allow users to override the
Hey, Blaine.
yes.
Sorry to interrupt real quick. So I have a hard stop at 30 after today. So I
Okay.
made Travis the host, and Travis, you can go ahead and share your screen of the agenda doc to finish off the rest of the meeting. That would be greatly appreciated. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks. See you. Yeah, sorry to pick up where I left off. The kind of critical part that really means that Rook can support whatever multis configuration users want is that we allow them to override the address CIDR ranges to be whatever they need if auto detection isn't possible. Yeah, so I guess like just I guess this is a note, like this change is like incoming. It is intended to be backwards compatible, and it shouldn't cause issues for any current Multis users, especially given how like narrow the scope of Multis is currently. But if you have like users or adopters who are using Multis today, it could be helpful to give that a test just as a double check.
Yeah, sounds great.
Yeah, yeah, and the note I'm testing is that I'm testing the I'm testing as much as I can. The configurations should be backwards compatible, and that auto detection shouldn't fail now where it succeeded previously.
Just a good idea to get others to test if they have any multi scenarios you're interested in.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's good. Yeah. Okay. Anybody have questions about the multis changes, or if not, I guess we'll call it good. I don't see any other items in the agenda. Does anybody else have a question to bring up or a topic? Okay, I guess we will call it good then. Thanks everyone for coming to the Rook community meeting, and
Thank
we'll
you.
talk to you another week. All right. Bye.
Bye bye.